The border station floated in the dark silence of space, a lonely fortress made of metal and glass. It stood at the very edge of alien territory, guarding the galaxy's border with strict rules and sharp eyes. Inside, lights were cold and blue. Officers walked with discipline. Their duty was clear. No one entered without permission. No one left without approval. Among the officers was Commander Rethar. He was tall, with gray skin and narrow black eyes. His people valued law above all else. For them, rules were life. Compassion was weakness. Rethar lived by these rules since the day he first wore the uniform. One day a small ship approached the station. It looked old, scratched by space dust. Its engine flickered as if tired of traveling. From the ship, a signal came, weak but clear. "This is human vessel Hope's Whisper, requesting entry, please. I need to dock." The message repeated again and again. A human voice, soft but desperate. The officers turned to Rethar, waiting for his decision. "Human." One of them muttered. Humans were rare in this part of space, not trusted, not welcome. Rethar opened the channel. His voice was cold. "State your purpose, human traveler. You are at the border of Zarian space. You cannot pass without proper code." A pause, then the human's face appeared on the screen. It was a woman, young, her skin pale, her eyes tired. She looked like she had been awake for days. "My name is Alara," she said. "I have come with urgent news. Raiders are near. They will attack. Please, let me in. I have to warn you." Rethar narrowed his eyes. He had heard such tricks before. Refugees inventing stories to escape. Smugglers weaving lies to enter safe territory. He did not move. "You have no code," he answered. "Without a code, you are not allowed entry. Leave this border before action is taken." Alara leaned closer to the screen. Her voice shook. "Please, you don't understand. If you turn me away, you put your people in danger. I saw them. I barely escaped. They are coming." But the officers behind Rethar whispered, "She is lying. Humans always lie." Rethar raised his hand for silence. His face stayed like stone. "You are denied, human. Leave now." Her lips parted in disbelief. For a moment she looked like she might cry, but instead her face hardened. "You will regret this," she whispered. "When the dark comes, you will remember me." Then her signal cut off. The small ship drifted back, engines sputtering, fading into the void. The room was quiet. Some officers smirked, pleased that Rethar followed the law. But deep inside, Rethar felt a small crack in his certainty. Her eyes, they did not look like the eyes of a liar. He shook his head and returned to his console. Work continued, but the human's voice echoed in his memory. Hours passed. The station's scanners hummed. Silent stars filled the windows. All seemed calm, yet Rethar's thoughts were restless. He replayed her words. "When the dark comes, you will remember me." Why had she said that? What did she mean? One officer broke his thought. "Commander, the human ship has gone beyond scanner range. We are secure." Rethar nodded, but unease crawled in his chest. Something unseen pressed on his mind like a shadow just beyond sight. That night cycle. When most lights dimmed, Rethar stood alone at the glass wall of the station, staring out into the endless dark. He thought of Alara, her pale face, her desperate warning. Why would a human travel so far, risk so much, just to tell lies? His reflection stared back at him, grim and uncertain. For the first time in many years, Rethar doubted his decision. Then, suddenly, one of the scanners beeped. A faint flicker on the edge of the system, a signal too weak to identify. It appeared, for only a moment, then vanished. The officer at the console reported calmly, "Probably interference, Commander." But Rethar froze. His eyes locked on the spot where the signal had been. His memory replayed Alara's warning like thunder. Raiders. She had said raiders. The silence of space felt heavier than before. A deep dread filled the room, though no one else noticed. Rethar clenched his jaw. His mind raced with questions. Was he wrong? Had he just turned away the only person who could have saved them? He whispered to himself, too soft for others to hear. "What have I done?" And somewhere far beyond the scanner's reach, in the dark sea of stars, a shadow was already moving closer. The border station drifted in silence, its metal walls glowing faintly in the dim light of distant stars. After denying the human woman, Commander Rethar tried to focus on his duties, but his mind was restless. Her words still echoed in his head. Raiders are coming, the officers around him acted as if nothing had happened. They followed orders, scanned space, filed reports. Their voices were calm, their movements routine, but to Rethar every sound in the station felt sharp, like it carried hidden meaning. He sat at his console, staring at the scanners. The screens showed endless black dotted with stars. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous. At least that was what the others believed, but then, a faint signal flickered across the scanner, a pulse too quick for the others to notice. Rethar leaned forward, his black eyes narrowed. "What was that?" he muttered. The officer next to him glanced at the screen, saw nothing and shrugged. "Background static, Commander, happens all the time." Rethar said nothing, but his jaw tightened. He replayed the data. The pulse was there, brief but real. It came from the same direction the human ship had drifted. He remembered Ilara's pale face, her urgent voice. "They are coming." A cold shiver ran through him. Hours passed. The station grew quieter as the night cycle dimmed the lights. Rethar remained awake, staring at the scanner. Every few minutes another faint flicker appeared, just for a heartbeat. The same signal, the same direction. He felt unease coil tighter inside him. He wanted to ignore it, to obey the law, but instinct whispered otherwise. Finally, he called the officer on duty. "Track Quadrant 17. The officer frowned. "Quadrant 17 is clear, Commander." "Do it again," Rethar said, his voice firm. The officer obeyed, scanning deeper. The results came back the same. Empty. Rethar's claws tapped the console. He did not like mysteries, he did not like feeling blind. That night, when the others rested, he stayed near the glass wall again, staring into the dark. He remembered Ilara's last words. "When the dark comes, you will remember me." He was remembering. He could not forget. Suddenly another flicker lit up the scanner. Stronger this time, Rethar rushed to the console, his heart pounded. He magnified the reading. For just 2 seconds, the image was clear. A shape, sharp and jagged. Then it vanished. It was not interference. It was a ship. A hidden ship. Rethar felt his chest tighten. His breath grew heavy. The others had not seen it. They would laugh at him if he told them. They would say he imagined it, but he knew. He knew he had not imagined. Later, during the next briefing, the officers gathered. They reported the same words they always said. All secure, no unusual activity. The border is safe. Rethar stood at the end of the table, silent, his hands behind his back, his mind screaming with doubt. Finally, he spoke. "There are signals in Quadrant 17. The room went quiet. Officers exchanged glances. One of them spoke with a mocking tone. "Commander, our scanners show nothing. Perhaps the human story is clouding your judgment." Another officer chuckled. "Yes, humans are skilled at lies. Perhaps she succeeded in making even you uncertain." Rethar's eyes narrowed. His voice turned sharp. "I do not question. Without reason, I saw a shape, hidden but real." The laughter faded, but suspicion remained. His people were not quick to believe without proof. The meeting ended, but unease spread through the station. Some whispered that the commander was losing his edge. Others avoided the topic, pretending all was well, but Rethar could not rest. He returned to his console, scanning again and again. The same faint signals returned, growing stronger each time he leaned closer. His claws tapped the metal desk. His mind replayed Ilara's desperate voice. "If you turn me away, you put your people in danger." He clenched his fists. His thoughts swirled with anger at himself. Had he doomed them all? Then came the sound. A low alarm, soft but real. The scanners detected something at the very edge of their range. Not static, not interference. This time the officers saw it too. They gasped, voices tense. "Unknown contact, very faint. It disappears and reappears." Rethar's heart pounded. His suspicion had become truth. But before anyone could react, the signal vanished completely, as if swallowed by the dark. Silence filled the room. Some officers looked at Rethar with new respect, others with fear. Rathar stood tall, but inside he felt the weight of guilt. The human had tried to warn them, and he had denied her. He whispered under his breath, almost a confession, "Ilara." The silence of space pressed harder on the station, like a warning unspoken. And out there, hidden in the dark, something moved, closer, waiting. The border station floated quietly, a fortress of steel in endless space. For days the faint signals had come and gone, whispers in the dark. Commander Rathar watched them with growing unease. His instincts screamed that danger was near, but proof slipped through his claws each time. The other officers grew restless. Some mocked him, some doubted him. To them, the station was safe, solid, untouchable. But Rathar knew better. His mind could not forget the human woman, Ilara. Her voice still haunted him. Raiders are coming. That shift began like any other. The lights dimmed to the cool blue of night cycle. Engines hummed. Scanners pulsed in rhythm. Calm silence filled the air. Then it happened. A sharp alarm split the quiet. The scanners flashed red. Warning symbols filled the screens. Multiple contacts. An officer shouted, his voice breaking with fear. Quadrant 17 incoming at high speed. Rathar's heart sank. The very direction Ilara had warned about before he could respond. The dark outside the station rippled. Shapes appeared. First as shadows, then as monstrous ships, raiders, black and jagged like beasts of war. Their hulls glowed with red markings, their weapons lit with hungry fire. The border station shook as the first volley hit. Explosions rattled the walls. Lights flickered. Sirens wailed. Officers scrambled to battle positions. Panic spread like wildfire. "Shields up," Rathar commanded. His voice cut through the chaos. "Return fire, now!" Energy cannons roared. The station lit up with bursts of blue fire. Shots tore through space, striking raider ships. Some exploded in flames, but more poured in. Their numbers were greater than anyone expected. The station shuddered again. Metal screamed as enemy fire ripped through outer hulls. Sparks rained from ceilings. Officers shouted orders. Some voices were lost forever in the noise. Rathar gripped the console, his black eyes burning. He thought of Ilara. She had warned him. He had not listened. Now his people paid the price. One officer cried out, "They are targeting the shield generators. If they fall, we are finished. Protect the generators." Rathar ordered. His claws tapped furiously across the console. "Divert power, keep them alive." The raiders moved with terrifying precision. They darted between cannon fire, striking weak points. Their ships seemed endless, waves of predators hunting prey. Rathar's chest tightened. Sweat ran down his neck. His station was strong, but even strong walls can crumble. Then a thought cut through the chaos, sharp and painful. The human. He turned to a junior officer. "Search for her signal now." The officer blinked in shock. "The human? Commander, she left days ago." "Search," Rathar growled. His voice left no room for doubt. The officer obeyed, scanning desperately. Amid the storm of battle, faint among the static, a small pulse appeared. A weak signal, barely alive. "Survival. Beacon," the officer whispered. "It is hers." Rathar's heart pounded harder. Ilara was still out there. She was alive. But before he could act, another explosion rocked the station. Fire ripped across the wall. Officers screamed. One section of the station sealed itself shut to stop decompression. The border fortress was dying. Rathar knew what he had to do. His duty said he must stay, fight, obey. But something deeper called him. He could not shake the guilt. He could not ignore the beacon. He made his choice. "Divert command to second officer." He barked. His voice thundered above the chaos. "Hold the line. I will return." The officers stared, confused. Some wanted to protest, but no one dared. His presence was law, his authority absolute. Rathar left the command deck, sprinting down the steel corridors. Alarms blared, lights flashed, the ground trembled beneath his heavy steps. He reached the hangar. Sleek patrol ships stood ready. He climbed into one. His claws moved quickly over. The controls, the engines roared to life. The hangar doors opened. The black sea of space stretched out, filled with fire and death. Raiders swarmed like vultures, blasting the station. Rethar's ship shot forward, weaving through the chaos. He ignored the enemy fire, ignored the fear. His eyes were locked on one thing, the weak, pulsing beacon. In the distance, every second, the raiders grew bolder. The station burned behind him, his people fought and died. But Rethar flew into the dark, chasing the signal, chasing the one he had denied. His scanners locked onto the beacon. It flickered among drifting debris, torn metal, and smoke. There, hidden in the wreckage, was a small survival pod. He drew closer. His chest tightened. Inside the pod, he saw her, Ilara, unconscious, pale but alive. For a moment, Rethar froze, regret flooding him like a storm. He had cast her out, refused her plea, and yet here she was. Proof of her truth, proof of his mistake. A blast of enemy fire streaked past his ship. Snapping him back to action, he activated the docking arm, pulling the pod into his hold. The console beeped. Ilara's vitals weak but steady. Rethar let out a breath he didn't realize he held. His claws tightened on the controls. He turned his ship back toward the burning station. The battle was not over. The raiders were still out there. But now, with Ilara alive, hope returned, because she carried more than warnings. She carried knowledge. Knowledge that might save them all. And as the raider ships closed in, Rethar whispered, "I will not deny you again." The patrol ship shook as enemy fire streaked past. Commander Rethar gripped the controls tightly. The survival pod he had pulled aboard rattled inside the cargo hold. Within it lay the human, Ilara, unconscious but alive. He glanced at the pod's scanner. Her breathing was weak, her heartbeat faint, yet steady. Relief stirred inside him, but also guilt. Deep, burning guilt. He had denied her, cast her away, and now he was the one saving her. The raiders still swarmed behind him, dark ships glowing with red light, hunting him like wolves. Rethar's ship twisted and turned through the chaos. His sharp eyes scanned for openings, his claws moved across controls like blades. The border station loomed in the distance, smoke rising from broken sections, flames scattered across its surface. Yet it still fought. Cannons roared from its sides, striking down raider ships one by one. But the enemy was too many. Rethar spoke into his comms. "Second officer, report." Static crackled before a strained voice replied, "Commander, shields are failing. Sections 4 and 7 destroyed, casualties high, we cannot hold much longer." Rethar's jaw clenched. His people were dying. The human had tried to save them, and he had turned her away. He pressed the comms. Again. "Prepare medical bay, I am bringing someone aboard, she has information we need." The officer hesitated. "A human?" Rethar's voice cut sharp. "No questions, prepare." He cut the channel. His eyes locked forward. His ship darted through enemy fire, weaving past explosions. At last, he shot into the hangar bay. The heavy doors sealed behind him with a crash. The moment the ship settled, Rethar leapt from the cockpit. His heavy boots pounded against the deck. The survival pod hissed open, steam rising from its edges. Inside lay Ilara, pale and fragile, her hair damp with sweat, her chest rising and falling weakly. Medics rushed in, alien faces sharp with surprise. They moved her onto a stretcher, scanning her with glowing instruments. "She is human," one whispered, doubt in his tone. "She is alive." Rethar snapped. His voice silenced. "Them all. Keep her alive, she carries truth." The medics obeyed, rushing her to the medical bay. Rethar followed, his eyes never leaving her. Inside the bright white chamber, Ilara stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. She saw him standing above her, the same alien officer who had once denied. Her lips trembled. She tried to speak, but only a whisper came. "You came back." Rethar's chest tightened. For a moment he almost could not breathe. His voice, usually hard as steel, softened. "Yes, I came back." Tears welled in her eyes. But she forced herself to sit up slightly. Her voice weak, but urgent. "They are not just raiders, they are organized, they have a leader, they want your station." "Because it guards the gate." Rethar froze. The gate. the ancient wormhole deep in their territory. It was a secret, known only to the highest commanders. How could she know? He leaned closer, his voice sharp but low. How do you know this? Her gaze was steady despite her weakness. Because I was their prisoner, she whispered. I escaped with their plans. They are coming for the gate. If they control it, they can invade the entire galaxy, the medics gasped, but Rathar silenced them with a wave. His mind raced. The raiders were no longer a mere threat. They were an army with purpose. He stared at Alara, guilt cutting deeper with every second. He had denied her when she tried to warn them. Now, only by saving her life could he hope to save his people. The comms crackled again. Commander, enemy ships regrouping. They prepare another strike. Rathar turned, his black eyes hard. His voice cold as iron. Prepare the defenses, but this time we will not fight blind. He faced Alara again. She was trembling, weak, yet her eyes shone with fire. I can help you, she said. I know their weak points. I know how they think, but you must trust me. Trust. That word burned inside him. He had failed it once. He would not fail it. Again, I will trust you, Rathar said. The words tasted strange on his tongue, but they were true. Together we will fight them. Alara nodded. A small smile touched her lips. Fragile, but real. The alarms wailed louder. Red lights flashed across the walls. The battle outside roared again. Rathar placed a hand on the edge of her bed, his claws careful not to harm her. Rest now, human. When you are ready, we will fight side by side. Her eyes closed slowly, her breathing steadied. For the first time since he had met her, peace touched her face. Rathar straightened. His gaze turned back to the chaos beyond the walls. His heart burned with regret and resolve. The raiders thought they had found weakness, but now the station had something greater, truth, and he would make sure that truth became their weapon. As the floor trembled beneath another explosion, Commander Rathar whispered to himself, You warned me, I did not. Listen, but now, I will make it right. The station groaned like a wounded beast. Metal walls shook with each blast. Lights flickered red across the command deck. Outside, the raider ships regrouped, circling like predators, ready to strike again. Commander Rathar stood tall, but inside his chest a storm raged. He had brought the human aboard. He had broken law and tradition, now everything depended on her. Alara rested in the medical bay, her face pale, her body weak, yet her eyes were sharp, her mind burned with knowledge. She had seen the raiders. Up close, she had survived their prisons. When Rathar entered the chamber, she looked at him, her voice low but steady. If you want to survive, you must listen to me. The words cut deep. For years, Rathar had commanded without question. His orders were law, his judgment final. Yet here was a fragile human daring to lead him. His officers gathered behind him, their eyes cold, suspicious. Some whispered, Why trust her? She deceives us. She is human. She is enemy. Rathar silenced them with one look, his voice cold. She is the reason we are still alive. Without her, we would already be dead. The room fell silent. The officers obeyed, though distrust lingered. In their eyes, Alara sat up straighter, her voice gained strength. The raiders fight like chaos, but they are not chaos. They follow orders. They are united under one leader. They strike weak points. They always aim for shields first. Then, life support, then engines, that is their pattern. Rathar studied her carefully. Every word rang with truth. Every detail fit the signals he had seen. She leaned closer, her eyes burning. You must not fight them head-on. You will lose. But if you strike their command ship, the rest will fall into confusion, kill the head, and the body dies. The officers exchanged nervous glances. Some shook their heads. We cannot trust this, it could be a trap. Rathar's claws tightened. He spoke with finality. We will follow her plan. Gasps filled the room. Some officers looked ready to protest, but one glare from Rathar silenced them. Later, in the war briefing chamber, Rathar and Alara stood side by side, a strange sight. alien commander and human survivor, two enemies. By nature, now forced into alliance, Rethar pointed at the star map, glowing with red enemy signals. Their command ship, where? Ilara's fingers traced the map with trembling hands. Here, she said, pointing to the edge of the formation. They always hide it behind the second wave. It pretends to be ordinary, but its weapons glow brighter. Watch for the red pulse. Before it fires, that is your chance. Rethar listened in silence. His pride battled with his guilt. He had denied her once. Now he depended on her. When the briefing ended, the officers dispersed, whispers following them like shadows. Rethar remained with Ilara. For a moment, silence filled the room. Only the hum of machinery surrounded them. Ilara spoke softly. Why did you save me? After, you left me to die? The question struck deep. Rethar's jaw tightened, his eyes lowered. For a long moment he said nothing. Finally his voice came, rough but honest. Because I was wrong. Because your eyes carried truth. And I could not let that truth die. Her gaze softened, but her voice was still sharp. Do not make the same mistake again. He met her eyes. Black meeting blue. For the first time, no walls stood between them. The alarms blared again. Raiders. Advancing, the second wave had begun. Rethar turned sharply, his voice booming. Battle stations, follow the plan. The station roared to life. Cannons charged, fighters launched, shields strained. Rethar returned to the command deck. Ilara beside him. Officers looked at her with suspicion, but none dared challenge their commander. The raiders swarmed, red fire streaking across the void. The station shook. Metal screamed. Energy crackled. Rethar's voice thundered. Hold fire, wait! Ilara's eyes were locked on the scanners, her breath quick. There, see the red pulse? That is the command ship. Rethar's claws gripped. The console, his voice cut like a blade. All cannons target that ship, fire. The station unleashed a storm. Blue energy blasts tore through space, striking the raider vessel she had pointed to. Its shields flared, struggling to hold. Then cracks spread across its hull. The raider fleet staggered. Their formation broke. Ships collided, confusion spreading like wildfire. A cheer rose from the officers, but Ilara raised her hand, her voice sharp. Do not cheer yet. They will regroup. This was only their test. The joy faded into tension. She was right. The battle was not over. Rethar looked at her, his voice low but firm. Then we will be ready together. She met his gaze, a flicker of trust in her tired eyes. Together, she whispered. Outside, the raiders scattered for a moment, but in the distance, larger shadows stirred. The true storm was coming, and inside the station, an uneasy alliance had been forged. One built not on trust, not yet, but on survival. The command deck trembled under the weight of war. Sparks rained from broken panels. Smoke curled in the air. Outside, space burned with fire. The raiders had returned, stronger than before. Commander Rethar stood tall, his black eyes locked on the scanners. Ilara stood beside him, her face pale but steady. She had warned them this would come, and now her warning unfolded in flames. The enemy fleet spread wide, wave after wave. Their ships moved with ruthless precision. They struck from all angles, red fire tearing into the station's shields. An officer cried out, "Shields at 30%, we cannot hold much longer." Rethar's claws dug into the console. His voice thundered, "We will hold, we must." Ilara leaned closer, her eyes darting over the data. "They are testing you. They are pushing your defenses until you break. When you weaken, the mothership will come. That is their true weapon." The word chilled the room, mothership. None of the officers had seen it, but all had heard stories. A monster of steel, leading fleets, crushing worlds. Rethar's mind raced. If she was right, then this was not the end. It was only the beginning. The station shook violently. Another section sealed itself as fire tore through its walls. Officers shouted. Fighters launched into the black, engaging raiders in desperate duels. Rethar opened. The comms, his voice a blade of command. All squadrons, defend the flanks, push them toward the central cannons, do not scatter, fight as one. His people obeyed, ships darted in formation, laser fire streaked across the void, raider vessels exploded in bursts of flame. Yet more replaced them, endless and relentless. Ilara pointed at the screen, her voice sharp. There, see how they circle. They are not trying to destroy you, they are hurting you. They want to weaken your guns before the mothership arrives. Rethar growled. His chest tightened with anger. Then we will break their circle. He slammed a claw on the console. Redirect heavy cannons cut through Quadrant 9, split their formation. The station unleashed a storm of energy. Blue fire roared through the dark. Raider ships shattered under the blasts. A hole ripped open in their circle. Rethar's eyes burned. His voice thundered. All fighters, strike through the gap. Now. The fighters surged forward, piercing the raider line. Explosions lit the void. The circle broke. Raiders scattered. For a moment, hope stirred in the station. Officers cheered, their voices filled with fire. But Ilara's eyes narrowed. Her voice low. Do not cheer. It is too soon. As if her words summoned it, the darkness stirred. A shadow moved behind the scattered raiders, bigger than anything they had seen. The scanners screamed alarms. The mothership arrived. It was enormous, dwarfing the border station, its hull black as night, its weapons glowing like red suns. It moved slowly, but with unstoppable force. Each step of its engines shook space itself. The command deck fell silent. Fear gripped every officer. Some whispered prayers. Others stared in horror. Rethar's jaw clenched, his voice cold. So it comes. Ilara's hand gripped the console, her voice fierce despite her trembling. This is what I warned you about. If you do not kill it, nothing else matters. The mothership opened fire. A beam of crimson light slammed into the station. Shields screamed and cracked. The walls shook. Violently, officers fell from their posts. Sparks blinded their eyes. Shields at 10%. Someone cried. One more hit and they fail. Rethar's mind raced. His claws tapped the console. He turned to Ilara. You said you know their weakness. Speak. Her eyes blazed. The mothership carries its command brain at the core. It controls the fleet. If you strike the core, all ships will falter, but its shields are too strong for your cannons. Then how? Rethar demanded, his voice sharp as fire. She drew a breath. You must overload your own reactor. Use the station's energy as a weapon. Release it in a single strike. It will pierce their shields. The officers gasped. Shock and fear filled the room. One shouted. That would destroy us as well, Commander. It is suicide. Rethar's black eyes locked on Ilara, his chest heavy, his mind torn. Could he sacrifice his people to save the galaxy? Could he trust her fully now? Ilara's voice softened, almost breaking. If you do nothing, everyone dies anyway. This is the only way. The station shook again. Another beam tore through the shields. Fires spread across the decks. The smell of smoke filled the air. Rethar looked at his officers, at their fearful faces, then at Ilara, weak yet unyielding. He straightened, his voice a hammer. Prepare. The core for overload. This is our only chance. The officers hesitated, fear in their eyes. But one by one, they obeyed. Ilara whispered, almost to herself. They will call you mad, but they will also call you savior. The mothership charged again, a crimson glow built on its front weapons ready to strike. Rethar slammed his claw on the console. All power to the core. Target their heart. Fire on my command. The deck trembled. Energy roared through the walls. The station's lights dimmed. Its power drawn to one purpose. The battle was reaching its peak. The survival of all rested on a single strike. And in that moment, standing side by side, alien commander and human survivor shared the same fire, the same fate. The final clash was about to begin. The border station trembled like a dying giant. Its lights flickered, its walls cracked, smoke filled the corridors. Outside, the mothership loomed, a mountain of steel in the void. Its weapons glowed red, ready to end everything. Commander Rethar stood at the center of the command deck. His claws gripped the console, his voice thundered across the room. Prepare the core for overload. All power to the strike. Officers obeyed, though fear bled from their eyes. They knew what this meant. They knew it could kill them all. Ilara stood beside him, her face pale, her body weak, yet her spirit unbroken. She whispered, "This is the only way. You must trust me." Rethar's black eyes locked on hers. For the first time, there was no doubt, no barrier, only trust. He gave a small nod. The station's lights dimmed. Energy surged through its veins. The hum of the reactor grew louder. The walls shook as power gathered like a storm. The mothership advanced. A crimson beam formed at its front. It aimed directly at the station's heart. Now, Prethar roared. The station unleashed its power. A spear of blue-white energy shot into the void, brighter than a star. It struck the mothership with unstoppable force. Its shields flared red, then cracked, then shattered like glass. The beam pierced, deep, reaching the core. For one moment, the mothership stood silent. Then explosions tore through its body. Flames erupted from within. Sections broke apart. The raider fleet faltered. Their ships spun out of control, weapons silenced, engines dead. The chain of command was broken. A cheer erupted across the deck. Officers shouted in triumph. Some fell to their knees in relief. Others cried out with joy, but Rethar did not cheer. He stood silent, his chest heavy, for he knew what came next. The overload had crippled the mothership, but it had also broken the station. Warning alarms screamed. The reactor was unstable, its power too damaged to recover. An officer cried out, "Commander, the core will collapse. We cannot stop it. We must evacuate." Rethar's eyes hardened. He had known this was the price. He turned to Ilara. Her breathing was labored, her body fragile, yet her eyes burned with life. "You must." "Go," he said, his voice low. "Take the fighters, escape now." She shook her head. "No, I will not leave you." His claws tightened at his side. Regret filled his heart. He had denied her once, abandoned her once. He would not do it again. He would not let her die because of him. "Ilara," he said softly. "You are the reason we survived. Your warning saved us. Your courage saved me. If anyone must live, it is you." Her eyes filled with tears. She reached for his arm, her voice trembling. "But what about you?" He looked at her, his gray face hard, yet his eyes carried something rare. Sorrow. "My place is here. I must stay. My people, they need my sacrifice." She shook her head violently. "No, you don't have to." He silenced her with a raised claw, his voice steady. "I denied you once. I will not deny you again. Go, live. Carry the truth to others. Let them know what happened here." The officers rushed to evacuate. Ships launched from the hangars, carrying survivors into the dark. Ilara was pulled toward a fighter, her heart breaking, her eyes never leaving Rethar. "I will not forget you," she whispered. Rethar gave one final nod, his tall frame standing unshaken as the station shook around him. The last ships launched, Ilara among them. Her fighter shot into the void. She looked back through the glass. The station burned like a star. Rethar still inside, facing the storm. The reactor collapsed. A wave of blue fire burst outward. It consumed the mothership's remains. It swept across the raider fleet, destroying everything in its path. Silence followed. Only drifting debris remained. From her fighter, Ilara stared at the dying light. Her hands shook, her chest heavy with grief and pride. She whispered, "You were right, Rethar. You redeemed yourself." In that moment, she understood. He had denied her once, but in the end he gave his life to save hers, to save them all. The survivors drifted away into the endless dark, carrying with them the story of a commander who chose redemption over pride, and a human who carried his truth. At the edge of the galaxy, in the quiet between stars, a legend was born, and it would be remembered forever.